let's talk about where you've tried to find clients so far. What avenues have you pursued in trying to find clients?
I've been trying a bit of everything, which is of course not really delving into one specific. Of course, when you get desperate, I start out on Fiverr. You don't want to do that, but here I am.
Okay.
And of course, then I tried to upload some things to Behance and to Dribble. I wanted to get some work off there. A lot of people said that you could do that. And I have not yet really figured out how or why the clients would look for me there.
Yeah.
And recently I tried to up my game on just a bit, just really thinking about strategies on Instagram. How can I get out there and how can I do things?
Yeah.
But I didn't really get to the client that I wanted. And I've tried to sketch up which clients I really am going for, and they actually kind of look like my past employers. The client that I'm looking for is, of course, as I said before, well-paying, stable, a stable thing, and someone who would, that I can make multiple jobs for, multiple gigs, back and forth, recurring jobs, I'd call them.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, that was a bit of everything right there.
Okay, that's really valuable for me to know. Okay, but there's not a specific, in this phase where you are right now, you're in the I'll take anything kind of phase. So we're not targeting a specific niche. We're not going after real estate companies or tech companies or anything. If you got a decent paying tech job from anybody, you take it. And if you got a decent paying restaurant job from anybody, you take it. It's just any client that fits this persona of decent paying and potential of recurring revenue, recurring projects. That's your base level target.
Yeah, that's a base level target.
Yeah. So, okay. Digging into sales, why don't I go on like a dissertation of sales concepts and strategies. So the first thing, and I've done a few posts on some of these things, so some of this may feel familiar because you might have seen those posts, but the first thing you have to know about any client is that a client buys when they have pain. They buy to resolve their pain. And the challenge with some of the venues you've been trying to dabble in marketing in is Behance and Dribble, Instagram. Do you create carousels? What do you do? You're marketing to a whole bunch of clients, potential clients who don't have pain. And so when they see that, they see you and they just kind of pass on by because there's nothing that jumps out to them and they don't have a pain point as it is right now. The reason that people get business off of Fiverr and freelancer.com and Upwork and stuff is because the clients are coming there because they're already in pain. They have a certain need that they're trying to fill. They need a logo. They already know that. You don't have to sell them on the idea that they need a logo. They know already, and that's why they go to a platform like that to buy, and that's why people close business there. So it's a great concept of a tool to create the client who has pain with the designer who can resolve that pain, and we put them together in those kinds of formats. So the big challenge with anything that isn't that is that you're marketing yourself to clients who don't have pain. So if you go and cold call, and you've been a telemarketer, you told me in the notes, you've been a telemarketer. You're calling a whole bunch of people who don't have pain, so the quantity of no's is huge. Because you say, hey, you want to buy this? And you call them on the phone and they're like, no, I want to eat my dinner. I don't want to buy that right now. I'm not in pain. But if they call you, inbound marketing strategy means they call you and say, hey, I want to sign up for this. Man, close rates are way higher on an inbound telemarketing job versus an outbound telemarketing job. And a lot of times designers, we get into this mindset where we want to have a magic script that we can use when we sit in front of any potential client that's going to green light this client. or we want to have a magic script that if we type this and send it to people in LinkedIn, then they're going to buy from me. And the fact is that doesn't exist. Now, there are good scripts and strategies to use, but most of the people that you send it to won't respond positively because they're not in pain. So that's the big overarching concept that we have to understand. And then that's going to be a thread through what do you do now? Now knowing that, okay, how do we find clients that are in pain and solve that and position ourselves to solve the pain for them? So I'm just going to go through a few different just shotgun ideas for you of effective ways that you can consider doing this. So the first one is any client who has bought from you already sometime in the past has the best chance of buying from you again. They've already kind of crossed that threshold of, I know Kasper, he does good work, we have a relationship, all the risk goes way down for them, so your chance of greenlighting work from them is much higher when they're in pain. So the first thing you have to do is you have to create some kind of a strategy to stay connected to anybody who has paid you money to do design work ever in the past in your life. You've got to rekindle those relationships. From an old boss to a coworker to a marketing manager at this real estate agency that you were working at, anybody who has been involved with you in a paying client, vendor, or boss-employee relationship is a potential easy sell for you in opposition of somebody who has never bought from you. So the people who have bought from you before have a higher chance of buying from you again. So how do you go and approach those people? This is a rhetorical question. Now I'm going to answer it. So the way to approach those people is to first make a list of everybody you've ever worked with ever in the past. Okay. Every single person. You sit down in front of the TV and you just start writing down names or typing into a spreadsheet into your computer. You write down everybody you can potentially muster of who you've interacted with in a paying format in this design world. And you've been doing this a while, so you've got a decent sized list of people that you've engaged with. Yeah. So you need to just start pulling down. And this is from the office manager at the real estate company to the account exec at some agency you did a little outsourced project for. You get a list of all of these people. And then you reach out to them and rekindle this relationship. And the way that you do that is, if you're comfortable, do it on a phone call. If you have a relationship that wouldn't be awkward, or at least send them an email or a LinkedIn message and the message goes something like this. Hey, Suzanne, it was so great working with you. Sorry I haven't been in touch for so long. I just wanted to let you know that I am a freelance designer now. I have a little freelance design business, and I'm looking in 2020 to add to my client list. So if your company that you're working for needs any design services, I want to make myself available for you. Or if you know anybody, I would love any referrals that you can share with me. Now, Suzanne, who you send this to, is somebody who you already know, so it's not super awkward that you're just coming out of the blue, that you're letting them know what you're doing, not hiding the fact that you're involved in doing design, you're building a freelance business. And this is the first gold mine of potential clients to chase down. The reason is there's already some trust built into the relationship. So that's the biggest inhibitor. That's the reason that somebody you email them on LinkedIn, they've never heard of you before, and they struggle to sign off on a project because they don't know you from anybody. So there's no trust built in, and that's ultimately what they're buying is the trust that you're going to solve their design problem need that they have. Okay, so reaching out to this list of your network of people is step one. Make a spreadsheet, put their emails in it, put their email address in it, and just go and track it. When you've emailed them, put a checkbox in it and put the date of when you contacted them, and then put the date on when they responded to you. You got to turn it into a system, a sales system. And then you put you put the date on when they reply, and then you watch that. And then in the future, you're going to start watching it saying, okay, Suzanne replied to me on November 30th. And then I emailed her again on December 15th. I'm going to wait until January 3rd to email her again. I don't want to be too nosy, but you're tracking the dates of your correspondence, and you're creating this, I'm going to stay top of mind with Suzanne until she has pain and needs to buy, or she knows somebody who has pain and she refers me. But my goal is just to rekindle the relationship and stay top of mind until pain exists and they're ready to buy. Okay. All right. What questions do you have about that technique?
Oh. Well, I don't really have a lot of questions regarding that technique because, as you just mentioned, I was a telemarketer for the longest time, and of course, this was the go-to strategy for quality leads. Yeah. You would call people that actually had a kind of an engagement with the product before, either through subscription or one-time payment. Yeah. And we would just call them back and, of course, keep track. Is this a good time to call? Can we do anything like that? I think the reason why I haven't really done it like that is because I try, of course, to take a step back from the whole marketing process. Last time I actually did it was back in 2017, where I sold analog TV solutions, which I couldn't really believe in, and I think a lot of this actually. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And a lot of the, I think the hurdle for me, the blockade for me is actually because maybe I don't believe in my product well enough to make these calls and just to call people and say, you know what, I'm doing graphic design work. Yeah. Might have been doing it for the 8 past years plus a little on the side. If you ever need my help, please consider calling me. And for me, that is not, it's not because that I don't want to, but because I just get this tinkle sense inside of me that's saying, you are kind of wasting their time right now. Yeah. And that is, I think, a lot of, what's it called? It's got a good name. You always use it when you say you have this...
Imposter syndrome.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Imposter syndrome. And what's right there, in front of me. And it really goes to show that it is a big part of me, sadly, because I haven't a formal education as a graphic designer. Yeah. I have learned all of these skills by hand for myself, and I haven't had the network that a lot of graphic designers get from Arts Academy or anything like that. Yeah. I just got the people that I used to work with at a supermarket back when I was 18 or something like that. Yeah. So the gap from going from startups and small timers up to the clients with the money. I only know a handful of them, and I am kind of, it sounds stupid, but I'm kind of saving them, saying, okay, when I'm good enough, I can go and make that call to them and say, I know you run this Bitcoin enterprise, you have a lot of money. Consider doing that. And the dumbest thing about this is actually that some weeks ago, I did a job for the CEO of a Bitcoin stock trading company. Okay. And it was a private side project where he just called me and said, could you do this for me? But I have never actually called him back and saying, if there's anything else, consider just calling me. Yeah. And that's the imposter syndrome. That's so dangerous.
And you used the right word when you were describing that to me. You said the stupid thing about this is, so you already know that this is not going to get you anywhere. That you defined it as stupid, and it is. And the big trick, because I'm not salesy either. I hate the salesy kind of thing. And my agency probably would have been way bigger had I been more salesy. Maybe not. Because I'm all about need filling. I'm all about the servant style business of I'm not out there trying to push some junk on them that they don't want, like analog television solutions that nobody needs, that you can't feel good about selling to somebody. I'm out there trying to solve problems that they have in their business. And problem number one is that the real estate company that you were working with needs to launch a new subdivision that they're making, or a new apartment complex that they're making or something. And they need a marketing brochure and they need a new logo for this building that they're doing. And you're solving real needs that they have. It's not like you're pushing something on them that is worthless to them. So, and then the other thing about imposter syndrome that I have to say, and this one gets me riled up because we sit there as designers and we think, but I'm not really that good. Well, I guarantee that you're better than the people at the real estate company that you're reaching out to because they don't know anything about what you do. They can't open InDesign. They don't even know InDesign is what you would use to make a brochure. So they're just stuck. They either have the option of opening a Word doc and throwing a logo in it and typing some junk to make their little one sheet, or hiring you to create a visually interesting, nicely designed brochure, slick for them to use in their sales process. And you know more than them. You don't have to know more than Paul Rand about design. You don't have to know more than the amazing people. You just have to know more than your client. And so don't get caught up in imposter syndrome that you think that by comparing yourself to other great designers, instead compare your knowledge to the knowledge that your clients have. And almost always your knowledge is here and your client's knowledge is here.
Yeah.
So you're making the wrong comparison and it's inhibiting you from reaching out to people trying to generate more work. Okay, The other thing that I would say is you're never going to grow and progress unless you bite off more than you can chew. That's an American phrase, but you got to put a lot in your mouth and it's going to scare you because you tell a client, yes, I can do that for you. And then the client says, awesome, thank you so much. And then you go home and you look at your computer and you say, crap, I've never done this before. I got to figure it out. Man, that's how you grow. And you have to be willing to go out there and trust your ability to learn it fast and produce what they need, not say no to it because you've never done it, and not reach out to the person because you question whether you have anything to offer them at all anyway. So, I mean, there are a lot of misaligned perspectives floating around in your head that are keeping you from doing just something so simple as to reach out to somebody who already paid you for a project, and the Bitcoin guy, and you hesitate to reach out to them for more projects afterwards. This is your gold mine of potential work.
It is. It really is. And I was just thinking of something. It just slipped my mind. Never mind.
Okay. So here's how you force yourself to do it. Okay, because this is the other thing. You're going to get off this call and you're going to say, oh, that's all good and well, but tomorrow you're going to wake up with a list of names and you're still going to be afraid to start emailing these people. That's just,
you know me already. You know me so well.
It's just, well, we spent a couple days together touring Denmark and it was super fun. So I do. But so you got to systemize your way out of this problem. And the way you systemize your way out of this problem is you create your list of people that you're going to reach out to, and you create your canned script, and then you say to yourself, I am going to email 5 of these people every day, no matter what, until I finish my list of 30 people that I have on this list. I'm going to email 5 of them every day for the next 6 business days, no matter what, and then you force yourself to do it. And what you're going to find is once you have success and somebody gives you a positive response, it's going to start changing the psychology that's happening in your head. You're going to get a response back, and Suzanne's going to say, Kasper, so good to hear from you. It's been too long, blah, blah, blah. And you're going to reply and say, I know, so sorry. I've been busy. So great to reconnect. And once that starts to happen, then you're going to be like, oh, this is not so scary. It's not as scary as I thought it was going to be. And that will happen. Dude, you're a sociable, nice guy. You reach out to me, I reply to you. We've had calls, we've had email, we spent a couple days talking, walking the streets of Denmark. People like you just because you're a likable personality. So you undoubtedly have people in your past that like you and like your personality and would love to hear from you, and you're not reaching out to them. And they're the ones that have work for you that you're not getting because you're not actively engaging with those people.
Right. That makes sense, of course. That makes a lot of sense. Of course, coming from you, that always makes sense.
Well, I say it loud enough and then people listen, perhaps. Maybe that's what it is, right?
Yeah,
if I move my hands enough,
80,000 followers. Congrats.
If I move my hand enough and point at the camera, then maybe you'll walk
just
away.
Uncle Sam the hell out of them.
Yeah, that's right. You need to do this. Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry. The thing that actually just came to mind, I was kind of staggering my speech before. The thing about the imposter syndrome that I know where it actually kicks off from is probably something that somebody else can use constructively as well. Because I know where my imposter syndrome comes from, and that's because I've spent a lot of time on Instagram looking at other designers' work and actually kind of holding up to my own work and saying, okay, they're doing a lot better than me. And then I saw all these bold guys speaking on Instagram like Seth Godin and Christo and Michael Janda and saying, I should shave my head.
Yeah, no, don't. You got a good head of hair, man. Don't shave your head.
I'll try not to.
Yeah.
But it really, because it just really kind of gets me sometimes, it gets me, well, not saying gets me down because I know it's really getting down over it, but it gets me into the imposter mindset, and that's a bad thing. I think a lot of time I spend too much time with designers instead of with clients.
Yeah. So here's my advice. Mute those people or unfollow them. If somebody does not make you feel uplifted, motivated, and inspired, do not spend time seeing them in your feed. Now, you can either unfollow them, and they may be a great designer, a great person. It may be even me. It may be me. Mute me if I don't help you feel more inspired and motivated, because social media can just suck the life out of you. If you're looking at stuff and you're getting jealous of everybody else's whatever, man, that's not healthy. So mute those people or unfollow them. Okay, if you're going to do this to me, just mute me because I won't know. Don't unfollow me because I will know that, and then I'll feel bad. But
you're inspiring, so that's okay.
Okay, good. So, but the point is that when you're scrolling, I do this. Like if somebody for whatever reason does not make me feel my best self, then I'm going to mute them or I'm going to unfollow them. You can't feed yourself negativity, man. And those people who are, even if they're great designers and that's inspiring to you, and you're so massively jealous of their ability, then don't look at their ability, because it makes you create a comparison that is not healthy for you.
That's true. sometimes it's just,
Okay, so that's assignment number 2. You're going to go through your Instagram from now on, and when you get to somebody and all of a sudden you get that crap, I suck, because you looked at somebody else's stuff, you're going to mute that person until you feel better about where you are in your career. That's assignment number 2.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got to do that, man. I got all kinds of people that have done that. I've done that too, for whatever reason. It's just, it can be some crazy psychological reason in your brain that doesn't make any sense to anybody but you. And that's all that it has to make sense to. You have to look at it and say, this person does not make me feel better about my life. Mute. It's as simple as that. So don't fill yourself with bad junk that does not motivate, uplift, and inspire you.
That applies to all sectors of life, really.
It does, man. That is the truth. It's the same. It's the same anywhere.
Don't spend energy on bullshitty people. Don't do it.
It's good. It's good advice. Yeah. So that's
my advice to you right there.
Yeah. We could. Well, it's good. We could extract that into. I mean, that could be a 4-hour conversation of stuff. Okay. So we've talked about making a list. We've talked about the imposter syndrome component. Let's talk about a couple venues that you can use. So to market. So one of the easy ways is, you mentioned Fiverr. You're on Fiverr. Fiverr, of all of the freelancer networks, is probably known as the cheapest of the bunch. So if you're marketing on Fiverr, that's where it came from. $5 for anything. And it's gotten bigger than that, but it's, in a lot of people's minds, it's not. It's still the cheapest format. There are other ones that are better, more effective price-wise. Freelancer.com, Upwork.com, and Toptal.com, Toptal. I just had a call a couple weeks ago with Luboš Volkov. He's in the Czech Republic, and he's built his entire freelance business through Toptal.com, Toptal.com. So that's one to look into. So Upwork, Freelancer.com, and Toptal are 3 networks of freelancer to client connection that are known for better pricing than what you get in Fiverr, typically.
Okay.
Now, so look at all 3 of those. Pick 1 or 2 or all of them and create a profile in those. Now, the reason those are effective, and I kind of mentioned this at the start, is because the clients go there because they have pain. So to bookend this a little bit with what I started by talking about, the client already has pain. They know they need something from a designer. And then you're the designer, your profile is there. You can go and bid on projects inside of that platform, and the client has pain already, so you don't have to sell them on that piece. Sales 101 is this. Sales 101 is, there are 2 questions that you should be trying to solve in a sales environment. Question number 1 is, why should this person buy this product at all? So branding, you're selling a logo design. Why should this company buy a new logo, have somebody design a new logo at all? That's question number 1. And when you're working in a sales kind of conversation, you need to be thinking that in your head. Okay, why do they need this logo? Because I need to say things that help them realize the need for a logo for their business. And then question number 2 is, why should they buy this new logo design from you? So this is about creating a unique value proposition, a positioning yourself in the market. So why should they buy it at all? And why should they buy it from you? So when you go into these freelancer environments like freelancer.com and Upwork and Toptal and Fiverr and down the list, question number 1 is already solved. The client has already decided that they need to buy X service.
Yeah.
Now,
of course.
all you have to do is solve question number 2 for them, and that's why should they buy it from you? And they buy from you from a variety of different reasons. They buy from you because you have a high level expertise. They buy from you sometimes because you're the cheapest price. They buy from you because they think that you're going to provide the most ROI. Sometimes they buy from you because you have the fastest turnaround time, and it's a time constraint issue. There's a variety of different reasons why they're going to buy from you. But in freelancer.com or Upwork, that's the only question you have to solve. You don't have to solve that they need to buy it at all. And that's why those venues are effective for people, because it kind of takes half the sales process out of the equation for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so what questions do you have on that side of stuff?
Well, probably sometimes I'm just, you ever had, okay, I'm just asking you, answering the question by asking you a question.
Okay.
Really. Have you ever had problems by branding yourself? Because we brand a lot of people. We can brand businesses or personas or anything like that. But when it comes to branding yourself towards towards a customer, it gets a bit tricky, really. Because you don't have the objective view of yourself. How am I going to market myself to a client that I actually do not know at all? And that's my problem with sites like, I have been on Upwork and Freelancer. I've never heard about Top Tools, so I check that out. But actually marketing yourself towards those clients are hard as hell, because you don't know what their pain is beforehand. So positioning yourself on the platform, and preferably better than anyone else on the platform currently, how do you achieve that?
So the very first step, it's tough because people buy people as much as they buy the product that you're delivering. And what I mean by that is that your brand isn't so much your logo and your what you say. And I know I hate that cliche. Your logo is not your brand. I can't stand that cliche. It's true, but I can't stand that it's been so repurposed so many times.
Yeah, exactly.
Your brand is you. This is your brand, and they're going to buy you if they know you. And the challenge with those formats is that they're price shopping. Number one, at freelancer.com, I need a new logo. People start submitting bids, and then the bids come in and they're like, okay, this one says 450 and this one says 300 and this one says 500. They're going to look at it and they're going to say, okay, those are all in a similar range. They're going to look at your profile and they're going to make a judgment call on, I don't really like the way that person looks, or that person seems really cool. I'm going to call them because their price is a little more, but they're really good looking and I'd love to work with them. It's that kind of mindset. So the trick that you have to do is you have to get them into your brand as fast as possible. And your brand is you on a Zoom call, on a phone call, or in a face-to-face meeting with them. Then you can sell them on your brand. You're branding yourself. Now, what's your brand, dude? You're from Denmark, which is cool to be from Denmark, if you didn't know that. But it is cool to be from Denmark. Yeah. It's cool to be from Denmark. You've got a giant red beard and you've got that dark glasses and you've got a hipstery, designery vibe. So you check that box of hipster, cool designer. You're super nice and friendly and outgoing, which is valuable to anybody. So these are the things of your brand. You're a nice person that has cool energy from a cool place. What's your brand? That's your personal brand right now. And if that's not the brand you want, that's the brand you have, and it's a good brand, so don't change it. But that's the brand. So you want to get a client to buy that. And you're not going to get a client to buy that on paper. You're going to get them to buy that in an actual verbal interaction. So the first thing I would do on these freelancer sites is I would say, here's my price, because that's priority one, they're shopping price. So make sure you're competitively priced on the job. and then say, before we jump into this, I really want to have a phone call with you to talk it over and make sure that we hit exactly what you're looking for. Do you have 15 minutes to jump on a call with me? And then you send them a Zoom link or a Skype link or a Google Hangout link or whatever it might be, but you've got to get in front of their face because you're building a real relationship with these people. You want to take the robot out of it as fast as possible.
Yes,
and
please.
And these freelancer sites is a robotic transaction. It's the client, you never really interact other than inside the tool, and then the vendor is a robot in the eyes of the client. There's no personal connection. And if there's no personal connection, then it's only going to be price shopping forever with these clients. They're going to go in the next project. They're not going to call you. They're just going to post another project on freelancer.com and take the lowest bid. So you want to get rid of that. And that comes with creating this personal relationship with them. And that's your brand. That's the brand, man. For now, that's the only brand you need. You need to just be nice, easy to work with, cool, have good brand, personal brand energy, which you check all those boxes. You just got to get in front of the clients and help them see that with you, execute on a good project, and then follow up with them for repeating business like we talked about in the first segment of this.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a little bit. What do you have comments or questions on that? That's the platforms, and then I do have another strategy to talk about.
Well, I'd love to hear another strategy as well, because I'm totally in on removing the computer from the algorithm, so to say, from the process. Because as I told you before, I'm more of a face-to-face kind of person. Then I can't really relate to people over text messages.
Yeah.
So actually, that's the thing that I do with all my clients, is that I prefer to talk to them rather than write with them, because I get a more of a feeling, a vibe from them. How urgent is this design job? What things should I look out for? It just really makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear another strategy, because I'm all for strategies. Okay,
so another strategy. The other strategy is the agency outsource model. And this you talked a little bit about when you were kind of giving your backstory, that there are agencies gobble up the best clients, get them into retainers and things, and then they service them with a network of designers that they use. So it's or they use internal designers to do that.
Yeah.
Now, don't just cross that off the list because of your perception that there are a lot of designers in Denmark and all the work is gone in Denmark, and how do I get clients outside of my area? This is a blanket statement that is detrimental. It's detrimental to you because it's not 100% true. And you know
Of course
that.
not. Of course
it's not. Designers in Denmark are getting work from companies in Denmark. It's happening right now. And it's going to be easier for you to be one of those designers than it is for you to say, you know what, I've got to start trying to get clients in the United States. Well, man, if you can't get clients in your own city, the idea of going to a whole other city is just bringing a whole new batch of problems into the world that are problematic. And I wouldn't say this if you were in a country that was price advantageous, but you're not. You're in a country, Denmark's not cheap, and so you're in a country that you have to still charge more market value rates. You can't go in and undercut everybody in other countries because their country is so much cheaper to live in. You're not in that position. Indonesia, you mentioned earlier. It's less expensive to work in Indonesia. So a designer in Indonesia can charge less than a designer in Denmark because they can live on less. But you're not in that situation. So going outside of your country or your city brings new challenges into play. You want to say a few things, so say them before I finish this strategy.
Well, I just really wanted to give some context on how on the price range in Denmark, because I just mentioned in my introduction that I did a job over 2 days for what was it, 50 bucks. Just to give a kind of a perspective on that, that would approximate around 10 cups of coffee in Denmark.
Yeah,
and that would be cheap coffee.
Yeah.
So yeah, the thing about getting, and I actually told you about this when I wrote you the first time about this call.
Yeah.
The thing about the thing about the agencies, I would love to get some work from agencies. Really. And I actually been, had a meeting with an agency at some point that just straight up told me, we think you're an interesting designer. You obviously have the skills that we need, but we actually don't know what you're passionate about. We have no idea.
Yeah.
And that was a bit of a harsh statement, really. So there's a variety of reasons why agencies are kind of recruiting people. And it was not because of my lacking skills. It was really because they didn't know what I was all about.
Yeah. Because you didn't
and that's
have
why I asked
a statement. Yeah. So you didn't have a statement like, I'm Kasper and I am a designer focused on helping startups in pre-seed funding. We're talking about niching in your brand.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, some clients are going to care about that and other clients aren't going to care about that so much. Yeah. And it depends on their level of pain. This goes back to this mindset of pain and cure. And if their level of pain, that agency is probably trying to hire somebody who's like fits the client type that they're doing work for. So if you go in and say, I'm really passionate about restaurants, designing brands for restaurants, then that client has 5 restaurant clients, then they're going to say, oh, this guy's a great fit for us. But if you go in there and say, oh, I'm super passionate about designing for restaurants and they have no restaurant clients, then they're going to say, oh, this guy's not the fit for us. So there's a certain measure of research that needs to be done before you make a statement like that. Because right now, what do you stand for? What do you stand for right now? And I'll tell you, you stand for, I need to get some freaking work so that I can feed my family. Right?
Yeah, that's not really useful for any kind of client. It's
not used to. So how do you position yourself for a potential job opportunity? You become a doppelganger, and you become a doppelganger by researching that client first, knowing their pain points, and then positioning yourself to those pain points. So if you would have gone to that agency and known that their top 5 clients were X, Y, and Z tech companies, and you would have gone into that meeting thinking, okay, they have tech companies. That's their niche. I'm going to go in here and talk about how I love tech companies, and I'm going to talk about the tech company that I did work for on this app, whenever it was. So that conversation becomes this: hey, I'm a good designer. Here's my portfolio work. And then they say to you, hey, Kasper, what are you all about? What are you passionate about? And then you say, you know what I'm really passionate about? I love doing work for tech companies. And don't lie. I mean, be truthful, but position yourself to their problem. Tell them what they want to hear from you. And you can't tell them if you don't do some research and understand what their potential need is. So you're going to go, you've got to position yourself for every opportunity that way, down to the point of making custom brochure pages, custom landing pages, custom brochure, custom portfolio handouts, all these things that just position you to a certain opportunity. Now, if you go, what do you know the pain of an agency is? I will tell you what the pain of the agency is. The pain of the agency is that they have 10 designers on staff and they have 12 designers worth of work to get done. This is the pain of an agency, because I was this agency. I had, You know, when I sold my agency, we had 70, 80 employees. I had a design team of like 7 people or something. And when we were looking to outsource, we just needed a talented designer to augment our internal team. This is the pain point of an agency. And I didn't care primarily if they did work similar to the types of work that we did. It was a bonus, but it wasn't a requirement on whether I would outsource to somebody. But I needed somebody who could take work off our plate at a rate that was less than what we charge our clients so that I have a margin to make profit on that person. That's an agency pain point. And that's what most agencies out there have. And so you could position yourself this way. What are you passionate about, Kasper? Well, I'm a super talented designer, and my passion is augmenting agency teams. I'm a doppelganger in my skill set. I've done copywriting, and I've done UX and UI, and I can do print, and I can do logo design and brand strategy. I have a lot of different ways that I can fulfill the needs that your agency has. And this is my passion. My passion is helping agencies with overflow work. And if you would have said something like that to the client, they would have been like, huh, well, that hits a nerve for us.
That's a soft spot right there.
Yeah, they're like, that's exactly my need. I need somebody who can wear a lot of hats, who I can throw work over the fence and get it done. That's talking to their pain point. So, a lot of what I've talked about here is this idea of clients buy when they have pain, and how do we get ourselves positioned right for the pain that they have. But that's how you can do it with the agency outsource model. This was a lot of stuff. I know I was fire hosing. I was fire hosing a lot of ideas.
Fire hosing. You were shotgunning me.
It was shotgunning. Yeah, it was a lot of stuff.
Full auto shotgun.
Yeah,
that's fine.
And you can take. It's marketing is experimentation. That's the summary of one of the big takeaways here, is that you've got to play with all of these formats. You got to play with them. You've got to see what's working for you. You've got to experiment with different ways to say things to clients. When you have a success, you've got to replicate that success. And so you take pieces of that script that created success and you do it over again. And if it keeps being successful, then you keep doing that and you just fine tune it and refine over time until you start generating the workload that you need. And any of these formats can be effective. I mean, I know people that have done very well on every single one of these strategies that I've shared with you here. And you may find that freelancer.com becomes your gold mine, or you may find that reaching out to agencies, agency outsource model is gold mine, or that you did have a lot more work available in your past network than before, and that's your gold mine. And once you start honing in on that, then you go all in on that channel, man. You say, okay, I'm not going to do freelancer.com anymore because it only yielded unprofitable work for me, but my relationship marketing strategy is generating the most. I'm going to skip everything else and I'm going to go all in on relationship marketing, and that's what works for me and my business. But right now, you don't know what the answer is because you don't have success on any of those. So take away from me the fact that I know people that have had success with all of these. There are people who have been successful in every single one of these channels. Mine, the biggest success was relationship marketing. The very first thing that I told you about of making a list and working your list of people, that was my gold mine for my agency and created all the growth. I think you have the personality chops to do that. You know, you're likable and you're not off-putting. So going down that, hey man, some designers are off-putting, let's be honest.
Okay.
So,
well, you said it, not me.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, all right, no offense to
Anyway.
any of the designers out there, but we're all working through challenges that we have.